When people hear time travel movies, they usually think of complicated paradoxes and confusing timelines. But the best time travel films aren't about the mechanics. They're about what happens when you break the rules of reality so brilliantly on screen. You don't need massive budgets for space battles or alien planets. You just need a clever concept and a clock ticking in the wrong direction. Yet, when a filmmaker truly gets time travel right, when they nail the logic, the emotion, and the mind-bending possibilities, they create something unforgettable. Today, we're counting down the 15 best time travel movies of all time, from perfect blockbusters to mind-bending indies, from romantic comedies to apocalyptic nightmares. Let's dive in. Back to the Future, 1985. Robert Zemeckis and Bob Gale created perfect time travel movie. Marty McFly accidentally travels to 1955, where he disrupts his parents' first meeting and starts erasing himself from existence. The photograph fading as he disappears is brilliant visual device. The stakes are clear and the rules are established immediately. Lightning, DeLorean, 88 miles per hour, plutonium. Every element is iconic. Michael J. Fox replaced Eric Stoltz after weeks of filming because Stoltz played it too seriously. Fox brought energy and humor that made Marty instantly lovable. Christopher Lloyd's Doc Brown is perfect mad scientist. The chemistry between them is what makes everything work. The fish-out-of-water comedy when Marty meets his teenage parents. The horror when his mother develops crush on him. The tension of the final sequence timing everything to the lightning strike. The script is masterclass in setup and payoff. Every detail established early returns later. The clock tower. The car trouble. The enchantment under the sea dance. Nothing is wasted. The film spawned 2 sequels that maintained quality. Alan Silvestri's score is perfect. The DeLorean is cinema's most iconic time machine. Huey Lewis songs define the era. Source Code, 2011. Duncan Jones followed up Moon with another smart sci-fi thriller. Jake Gyllenhaal plays soldier whose consciousness gets inserted into a train passenger's body for 8 minutes before a bombing. He relives those 8 minutes repeatedly, trying to identify the bomber and prevent the attack. It's technically consciousness transfer, not time travel, but the loop mechanics work identically. The concept is executed brilliantly, with each loop revealing new information. Gyllenhaal's performance carries the emotional weight as he discovers the truth about his situation. The romance that develops through repetition feels earned. Michelle Monaghan plays the woman he falls for, despite her not remembering him each loop. The ending twists towards sweetness instead of darkness. Jones makes smart sci-fi accessible without dumbing down the concepts. Source Code was overlooked in 2011, but it's genuinely excellent thriller that deserves bigger audience. It's tightly constructed with no wasted scenes. The 8-minute constraint creates perfect tension. Jones proved Moon wasn't a fluke with another cerebral sci-fi film that trusted audiences to keep up. About Time, 2013, Richard Curtis made romantic comedy about a man who can time travel. The men in his family have this ability passed down through generations. Domhnall Gleeson uses it to pursue Rachel McAdams and fix awkward moments in his life. But the film becomes about more than romance. It's about father-son relationship and appreciating ordinary moments. The time travel isn't used for grand heroics or preventing disasters. It's used for small personal moments, replaying conversations, reliving good days. The rules are simple, and the film doesn't get bogged down in paradoxes. Bill Nighy plays the father in one of his warmest performances. About Time is underrated in Curtis's filmography. It's genuinely emotional without being manipulative. The third act shift toward mortality and family hits hard. The film uses time travel as metaphor for living in the moment and appreciating what you have. It makes you cry without being tragic. Curtis proved rom-com director could make meaningful sci-fi by focusing on character over concept. It's sweet, funny, and heartfelt. Everything time travel comedy should be. The Time Machine, 1960. George Pal adapted H.G. Wells' novel with Rod Taylor as inventor who travels to year 802,701. The production won Academy Award for special effects, with the time passage sequences still impressive. Watching the seasons change rapidly. The mannequin in the store window changing dresses through decades. The buildings rising and crumbling. The practical effects visualize time travel better than most modern CGI. The future Taylor discovers is both utopian and dystopian. The Eloi live in paradise, but the Morlocks hunt them for food. The social commentary about evolution and class division is buried under adventure narrative. The Morlocks are genuinely frightening with their blue skin and glowing eyes. The film influenced every time travel movie that followed. The 2002 remake with Guy Pearce failed to capture the original's charm. The 1960 version endures because it takes the concept seriously while delivering entertainment. Taylor's performance grounds the fantastical premise. The time machine itself is iconic design. The film asks important questions about humanity's future and whether progress equals evolution. It's classic science fiction that respects both the source material and the audience's intelligence. X-Men, Days of Future. Past, 2014. Bryan Singer returned to fix the X-Men franchise timeline. Wolverine's consciousness gets sent back to 1973 to prevent assassination that leads to dystopian future, where mutants are hunted to extinction. It's comic book adaptation that takes time travel seriously while delivering superhero spectacle. The film brings together both casts, the original trilogy actors and the first-class younger versions. Hugh Jackman anchors it as the one character who can survive the time travel process. The stakes actually matter because we see the dark future they're trying to prevent. Michael Fassbender and James McAvoy are excellent as young Magneto and Xavier dealing with trauma and betrayal. The Quicksilver kitchen sequence is one of the best action scenes in any superhero film. The time travel allows the franchise to erase mistakes from weaker sequels. It's narrative reset button done correctly because the emotional journey justifies it. Days of Future Past proved superhero films could tackle complex time travel without confusing audiences. It's the best X-Men film and the smartest use of time travel in comic book cinema. Donnie Darko, 2001, Jake Gyllenhaal plays troubled teenager who sees a demonic rabbit named Frank telling him the world will end in 28 days. The film mixes teen angst with tangent universe theory and deterministic time travel. It's deliberately confusing and the ambiguity is intentional. Director Richard Kelly made cult classic through mystery and atmosphere. The film works because it doesn't over-explain. The theatrical cut leaves questions unanswered. The director's cut adds exposition that some fans feel ruins the magic. The 1980s setting and nostalgic soundtrack add melancholy tone. The cast is perfect with young actors before they became stars. Donnie Darko divided audiences between those who find it profound and those who think it's pretentious mess. Both are valid. The film has been overanalyzed for decades, with fans creating elaborate theories about the time travel mechanics. The ending is tragic and beautiful simultaneously. It influenced teen-focused sci-fi for years. Donnie Darko is important even if you don't love it. The cult following proves its impact even when understanding it remains elusive. Predestination, 2014. Ethan Hawke plays temporal agent trying to prevent terrorist attacks by traveling through time. The film is based on Heinlein's short story and contains the most complex identity paradox in cinema. Discussing the plot spoils the reveal that recontextualizes everything. It's film that requires immediate rewatch once you understand what happened. The Spierig brothers directed with precision and respect for the source material. The low budget never shows because the focus stays on character and mystery. Sarah Snook gives incredible performance in role that demands playing multiple facets of the same person. The reveal is mind-breaking in best possible way. Predestination went straight to streaming in most markets, and almost nobody saw it. It's criminally underseen masterpiece that deserves far wider recognition. The time travel paradox is embraced fully rather than explained away. The bootstrap paradox becomes the entire point. It's smart, sad, and perfectly constructed puzzle box. If you haven't seen it, don't read anything else about it. Just watch it and have your mind blown by how far time travel paradoxes can be pushed. Edge of Tomorrow, 2014. Tom Cruise plays cowardly soldier forced into alien invasion battle. He dies immediately, then wakes up the day before. He's stuck in time loop that resets every time he dies. Emily Blunt plays badass warrior who had the same ability and teaches him to use it. It's Groundhog Day meets Starship Troopers with video game logic. The film finds humor in Cruise dying repeatedly in increasingly ridiculous ways. Each loop teaches him more about the battlefield until he masters it through repetition and failure. The alien enemies called mimics are excellent design. The action is coherent and exciting. Cruise and Blunt have great chemistry. The marketing completely failed the film. The title changed multiple times. Live, Die, Repeat became the de facto name. Despite great reviews and word of mouth, box office was disappointing. But it found audience through home video and streaming. Edge of Tomorrow deserves sequel that's been stuck in. Development hell. It's surprisingly great blockbuster that uses time loop premise perfectly for both action and character development. Cruise's best sci-fi film and one of best action films of the 2000s. Looper, 2012. Rian Johnson made hitman film where killers assassinate targets sent from future. The twist, eventually you have to kill your older self sent back to close the loop. Joseph Gordon-Levitt plays young version of Bruce Willis with prosthetics making him look like Willis. When his older self escapes, the chase begins across two timelines. The film adds telekinesis subplot that feels unnecessary but pays off in third act. Emily Blunt enters mid-film and elevates everything. The violence is brutal and the ending is gut-wrenching. Johnson embraces bootstrap paradox and doesn't worry about explaining every detail. The film trusts audiences to accept the time travel rules and focus on character. Looper was modest success but deserved more recognition. It's smart original sci-fi in an era dominated by franchises. The makeup to make Gordon-Levitt look like Willis is impressive. Willis gives one of his best later career performances. The rural setting contrasts with cyberpunk city perfectly. Looper proves Rian Johnson is master of sci-fi storytelling, who understands genre conventions and knows when to subvert them. Underappreciated gem that holds up better than most 2010 sci-fi. Primer, 2004. Shane Carruth made the most complex time travel film ever with $7,000 budget. Two engineers accidentally invent time travel in a garage. They start using it for personal gain. Then the timelines multiply and overlap until neither they nor the audience can track what's happening anymore. Flowcharts are required to understand the complete timeline. The film is deliberately confusing with technical jargon and overlapping conversations. Carruth wrote, directed, starred, and composed the score. The lo-fi aesthetic makes it feel like documentary about actual discovery. Multiple versions of characters exist simultaneously. The paranoia builds as they lose control of their invention. The ending leaves questions unanswered intentionally. Primer demands multiple viewings. It's homework disguised as entertainment. The cult following is obsessed with mapping every loop and timeline. Carruth made the most realistic depiction of time travel by showing it would be messy, dangerous, and incomprehensible. It's not fun blockbuster. It's thought experiment about what happens when ordinary people discover something they can't control. Patient viewers willing to work for understanding will be rewarded. Everyone else will be baffled and frustrated. That's intentional and that's brilliant. Terminator 2, Judgment Day, 1991. James Cameron topped his original with $100 million sequel. Arnold Schwarzenegger returns as protector instead of killer. Robert Patrick plays new Terminator made of liquid metal who can morph and reform. The practical and digital effects combined to create groundbreaking action. Linda Hamilton transformed into badass Sarah Connor. Edward Furlong was perfect as young John Connor. The film changed action cinema with the T-1000 effects that still hold up, the truck chase, the helicopter pursuit, the steel mill finale. Every action sequence is perfectly constructed. Cameron balanced spectacle with character development. The relationship between John and the Terminator becomes emotional core. The film asks whether the future can be changed while acknowledging the paradox of John sending his protector back. Terminator 2 is debated as either best sequel ever made or equal to the original. The scale is bigger without losing intimacy. The message about preventing nuclear war resonates. Hamilton's performance is iconic. The film works as action, science fiction, and emotional drama simultaneously. Later sequels tried to recapture its magic and failed. T2 remains pinnacle of blockbuster filmmaking. Massive budget used intelligently to serve story rather than replace it. 12 Monkeys, 1995. Terry Gilliam made apocalyptic puzzle film where Bruce Willis is sent back from 2035 to prevent plague that wiped out humanity. He's committed to mental institution where he meets Brad Pitt's unhinged Jeffrey Goins. Gilliam uses his signature visual style to blur lines between madness and mission. Is Willis actually time traveler, or is he insane? The film is based on French short film La Jetée and maintains that film's fatalistic tone. Pitt gives career best performance as twitching lunatic who might be key to everything. Madeleine Stowe plays psychiatrist trying to help Willis while questioning her own sanity. The paradox is intentionally confusing with bootstrap elements that make causality impossible to untangle. The ending is tragic and predetermined. Willis can't change what's already happened because his presence in the past is what caused it. Gilliam makes time travel into horror story about inevitability. The film is visually stunning with production design that makes the future feel lived in and decayed. 12 Monkeys is an underrated masterpiece in both Gilliam's and Willis's filmographies. It influenced countless films, but remains unique for treating time travel as curse rather than opportunity between parent and child. Groundhog Day, 1993. Bill Murray wakes up on February 2nd in Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. The day repeats endlessly with no explanation given. He's trapped living the same day until he learns to become a better person. Harold Ramis directed script that starts as comedy and becomes philosophy about self-improvement and finding meaning in repetition. The film never explains why the loop happens or how it ends. That's perfect because it doesn't matter. Murray's performance carries everything from selfish cynicism to suicidal despair to genuine enlightenment. Andie MacDowell plays the woman he learns to truly love instead of manipulate. The progression from using the loop for selfish gain to becoming the best version of himself is beautifully handled. Groundhog Day influenced countless time loop films, from Edge of Tomorrow to Palm Springs. None match the original's perfect structure. The script is masterclass in character development through repetition. Murray's best performance showed his dramatic range beneath the comedy. The film is timeless despite being set in the 1990s. It's simultaneously hilarious and profound. Groundhog Day proved time loop premise could be vehicle for redemption story. It's genre-defining classic that transcends science fiction to become universal story about becoming the person you should be. The Terminator, 1984. James Cameron made tech noir masterpiece for $6.4 million. Arnold Schwarzenegger plays killer cyborg sent from 2029 to murder Sarah Connor before she gives birth to the resistance leader who will defeat the machines. Kyle Reese follows to protect her. The bootstrap paradox is perfect. Reese is John Connor's father, making John's existence a loop with no beginning. The low budget forced creativity. The practical effects still work because Cameron prioritized atmosphere over spectacle. The future war scenes are brief but haunting. Arnold became icon through role requiring minimal dialogue and maximum presence. Linda Hamilton starts vulnerable and ends as survivor. Michael Biehn's performance grounds the insane premise. The film created template for action sci-fi. The unstoppable villain pursuing helpless victim through modern city. The tech noir aesthetic mixing neon with industrial decay. The time travel creating predestination paradox. Cameron made intelligent blockbuster that trusted audiences to follow complex concepts. The Terminator launched massive franchise, but the original remains purest vision. It's lean, mean, efficient storytelling with no wasted moments. The practical effects aged better than most CGI. Its perfect execution of high concept on low budget proving ideas matter more than money. Which time travel movie is your absolute favorite? Do you agree with number 1? Which film deserved to be higher on the list? Drop your answer in the comments below, hit subscribe for more definitive rankings, and smash that like button if you agree that Back to the Future is untouchable.